Welcome to Homeless Minor Leaguer Live. I am Matt Paré. You guys know Ty Kelly. And this is Matt Hirschhorn of OBB Pictures, co-creator of The Fifth Quarter.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Homeless Minor.
Guys, welcome.
I did it again. I always do that every time. So, World Series.
Yes.
You went to it. Which game were you at?
Because you got me tickets.
Well. Yes, I did.
Should I keep that
going? But no.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, I had tickets. 2 game, 1, 2, 6, and 7. I didn't go, but got the tickets for Matt and a couple of the other guys over at OBB Pictures, and so you went.
Yeah.
Was it awesome?
It was a great experience. It was my first World Series. I'm a Mets fan, so I was too afraid to go.
And you got your 86
my
World
86
Series.
That's
nice.
Yeah.
I like the font there.
I was like 6 days old when they won. So I hope that doesn't count for the championship in my lifetime.
Everyone's got to have one of those, right?
Yeah.
At least. But it was Houston's first, so that was awesome.
Yeah, so I wore this today because we have a Houston fan in our office, so I just wanted to. He was very excited today, so I wanted to casually remind him that he may have won yesterday, but we won 31 years ago, so.
That's what it's all about.
It is.
What really matters.
Definitely. Here, hold on. You guys keep talking. I got to leave something in the comments real quick.
Okay. So I thought that we should talk about, since we have 2 Matts on the program, that we should talk about a good way that we have come up with to differentiate between all of the Matts in our lives. Because in our group text, it's constantly Matt says something about Matt, and then another thing about a different Matt, and it's just Matts all over the place.
There's a third Matt, right?
And there's definitely a third Matt in our lives.
He's in Venezuela. We talked about this on the last live show.
And I remember it being very difficult to say Matt's in Venezuela and Matt, and then these things happened in the past with Matt.
We're worried about you, Matt.
Yeah, we're worried. No. And so we came up with, or you guys came up with your own nicknames. And so if you want to start with your nickname for everybody.
Yeah, so when I was 9, I went to summer camp, and my first day, my mom had surprised me with, I think, like a 12 pack of Sprite. And she'd never let me have soda at home, so the first day I drank all 12 and was just throwing up all over the place. So they called me Sprite, and I think now 20 years later, people from camp still call me Sprite, so I guess that's my nickname with you guys.
Nicknames just start in the most ridiculous ways. Just a case of Sprite, and that was it.
That's a nickname now.
I threw up all over my counselor's bed, and then I asked him to
at least
take me to get.
It didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, no. And then I asked him to take me to get more Sprite from the vending machine, and he was like, "What's wrong with this kid?"
And then our other.
So my nickname I made up for myself, and it was Pilgrim, and that was the lead character in the So Bad It's Good movie Hot Ticket to Hawaii.
Would you suggest that they watch it?
It is a terrible movie. I love it. It's definitely my favorite So Bad It's Good movie that I've watched. It might be the only one I've watched, though. Actually, I've watched some pretty trash stuff in my life.
And for those of them that don't want to watch the whole movie, is there a specific scene?
There's 2 scenes. There's 2 scenes you should watch. So just YouTube, when this live stream's over, Hot Ticket to Hawaii skateboard scene, and then Hot Ticket to Hawaii frisbee scene. These are 2 of the best scenes. Yeah, if you don't want to watch the movie, watch those 2 scenes, and you'll get if you want to watch the rest of this movie or not.
Yeah, you'll understand.
Yeah, you'll understand what this is about. There's this like radioactive snake on a plane. It was before snakes on a plane was a thing.
That's what they ended up basing Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, it was based off the true story of Hot Ticket to Hawaii.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in that movie. There's guns. There's, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a great movie. You should check it out. But speaking of movies, TV, television, so you guys over at OBB Pictures just are now finishing up season 2 and 3 of the 5th quarter, which is on Go 90. You guys can go check it out over there. But what is it like working with some of the athletes that you have? Because even just the cast that you have too, like just the people you have on. Just to name a couple of the athletes you've had on, Blake Griffin, obviously, like he's amazing.
Yeah, he's really good.
And who else are you he's like the big one, obviously, because he
was
is
like
so
the big
good,
one.
like good at acting and whatnot.
The first season, for everybody, if everybody wants to know what the show is, so we shoot, the 30 for 30. Well, obviously you guys know because you actually wrote an episode.
We did. We wrote an episode. We did.
But so we do this show where it's we take the 30 for 30 on ESPN, and we basically just flip them on their head and tell we'll make up fake parody stories based on those real stories. So like this year we did one of the episodes is making fun of Tommy John surgery. I can't even say it right anymore, but
because you said it the wrong way.
So the other way. Now we're doing Johnny Tom surgery, which is about the Tigers first baseman who in the mid '90s became the first player to successfully come back from a torn taint.
Nice.
People don't know that there is a taint ligament.
I didn't know that either.
There is not really one, but in our world there is.
That was believable now.
So we had. So we shoot these 10-minute episodes. They're completely ridiculous.
The clip of the guy stretching out and then falling down and tearing it, like I laugh every time. It's so absurd.
Yeah, that guy's really funny.
It was really funny.
So today we shot John Carlos Stanton for that episode, as well as your episode and a few others. So that was very exciting for us.
Exciting for us too.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
To have
we don't usually
here in our episode is going to be pretty awesome.
It's really tough to get baseball players because we shoot during the summer, so that's when football and basketball and hockey are off.
So what you're saying is we need to take like an Olympic break, kind of like hockey does.
Like if you could just stop the season for like 2 weeks, and
I think we should do that. I think players. I think you should bring that up in the Players Association meeting at spring training.
It would really help our web series or our Go 90 show.
Yeah. Guys would be all for a 2-week break in the middle of the season. I know that.
But it just maybe like just lessening the games a little bit too, right?
Well, they're talking about that, yeah.
Oh, but the stats, you can't do that because of the integrity of the game and the stats. What do you got on old like baseball traditions? Like it is how it's always been, so it has to be like that kind of mindset.
I'm for change. The stats are like, they used to hit 400. There used to be a guy hitting 400 every year, so it's like, it doesn't bother me if they shorten the season by 20 games and nobody hits like 55 home runs in it,
Yeah.
So
it'd be prorated.
We'll have new
way,
standards. Right? Nobody's ever going to win 300 games again, so.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
It's already kind of changed.
Yeah, it's always changing.
And I think you always make a good point whenever we bring up comparing eras. It's like you can't do it. You have to look at how they are in that particular time period, and it's
just not fair either to say that like there's no question Barry Bonds is the best hitter of all time, but like you still can't compare and say that like someone back in the day wouldn't have done well today because they would have had to play differently to get to like that success point in their career. Mm-hmm. They would have made adjustments presumably because they're really good at baseball still. You can only do so well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can. It's just impossible to try to compare everything.
Yeah.
Well, how hard do you think like they were throwing back?
They weren't throwing hard.
Here we go. I love this. Is my favorite.
I love
going
talking
on
to old-time baseball fans who are like, "Oh, Walter Johnson was throwing 105 miles."
There's always one guy that you can go to that threw hard in a particular era, like from like 80s and 90s or whatever. It's like, well, there's Nolan Ryan or to like whatever era he was in. You know what I mean? Like it was always. Like, nobody threw hard back when these people were playing. Like, well, there was Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's
the list ends right there. Like,
or, like, back in the 20s where the guys were, like, 5'4", swinging, like, 50-ounce bats.
And it's not their fault either.
Right.
I mean, they were played in an era where that was the equipment they had, and that's just the way things were, and they made the best out of that. Just the way today the balls are obviously better, the equipment's a lot better, and
Workout
guys,
programs are better.
Yeah.
Nutrition plans are better. People aren't smoking cigarettes in the dugout.
well,
Unless it's Summer Catch. Unless
Right.
you're watching Summer Catch.
exactly.
Oh yeah,
And,
I remember that movie.
And you got the Chatham A's manager just smoking a cigarette in the dugout.
It's a very realistic movie.
Yeah,
Friends.
super realistic movie.
Yeah, we just wrote a sketch about it actually.
Yeah. It's there's so many.
It was hard to
holes in
fit
it.
everything into it, though.
But
That's the problem.
we got to cut it down. It's at 5.5 pages right now, way too long for a sketch. So we're working on cutting it down.
I think you should just make a whole parody movie. Just parody
Oh
that movie.
wow!
That'd be
I
good.
do
This
a
is the
really
right
good
time for it too, with
Right.
the parody of Making a Murderer.
American Vandal
Yeah,
just got
American
renewed
Vandal,
for
yeah.
a second season.
Yeah,
How was it? Was it good?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's a 3-art show. That's the company we're
Oh,
we're at. Yeah,
Three
so-
Arts. Oh,
Yeah,
3
fancy.
Arts.
It's our production company.
I don't know what the arts
Yeah,
are. but-
oh yeah, that's ours.
Oh yeah, they also produced the fifth quarter
Wow.
with us. So, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we should write it.
Well, let's just write it and then
Yeah,
we'll
see what
pitch
happens.
it
But the problem is, we would just write the same movie.
because
Yeah.
it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's that bad of a movie.
It's already a parody of itself.
I
Yeah.
like how he somehow went straight to like the major leagues
Oh
by the end of the movie.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I forgot
No,
he made
well,
it
he
on time.
got signed on a tarmac.
Right,
Um,
because that's how it usually
and
happens.
then, like, in the next scene was
I got.
pitching against Ken Griffey Jr., giving up a
Yeah.
home run, and then,
And just
like,
smiling.
Being very happy
smiling
about
at him, going,
He got sent down the next day, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
Definitely.
for
sure
sure.
he did.
Like, why are you laughing? You just gave
Yeah.
him a home
He
run.
actually, I think the manager pulled him right after that. He was like, "What is this guy doing? Oh, do you think this is funny?"
Yeah,
And then he's gone.
That was
He's out
it.
of the game.
the movie ended.
I didn't mind because he was on the Phillies, so
Right.
yeah.
He's letting up a home
I'm a
run.
big Mets fan, so
Gosh, just Freddie Prinze Jr. in that movie though. Like
Oh
my
gosh.
the fit. Hold on. It was this all the time right here, and just like glossed over eyes. Just
That's his look.
that's. Yeah, I mean, that was the look of the aughts, right? He was the man.
he doesn't really do anything anymore. I know he's
No.
like
He does voiceover now.
He does a lot of voiceover, and I know he was writing for I think WWE. He was like a
That
Really?
yeah.
That's actually like that's really hard to do. I've heard because of all the different intricate story plots that are going on, the different storylines and connecting them and weaving them all together. I've never watched any WWE, but I've just heard that the stories are actually like pretty good.
Yeah, seems like it.
Have you?
I mean,
Have
I
you
mean,
watched?
people keep watching.
Right? It must be good television if
Yeah, for
people
sure.
are watching it.
No, I watched in like 6th grade when it was going through like a boom. When
Yeah,
I was
like
in 6th
that.
grade, so
Was
yeah,
it the
around
WWF
2000.
still?
It
Yeah.
was no, it was just switching to all the like NWO and like
that
all
was
of
like
the different
WCW.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like changing and
Ah.
like branching off into different sects or whatever they are.
Wolfpack.
Yeah, the Wolfpack
That was a
for
big
sure.
Wolfpack fan.
Yeah, it was really entertaining. I mean, I was in 6th grade, so a lot of things were entertaining. I don't know. It might not have been any good.
Sixth grade.
It's all about just like characters being ridiculous, I think. And then you give them a storyline and it keeps you entertained.
It's a soap opera. It's a soap opera for men.
Oh, my mom joined. Hi, Mom.
Nice.
Oh, my mom comes Tuesday, by the way.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Okay.
Mom.
With some granola?
Oh, Mom, if you could come with some granola, that would be huge
It would.
because we're running low.
You're running low on granola.
So, yeah, that would be awesome if you could maybe cook up some granola, your secret recipe. But anyway.
So, what are some things that we can look forward to that you can tell us about? I know it's difficult in.
Yeah. There's
Hollywood.
a couple things that we can't say.
Hollywood.
Right. Yeah, I mean, season 2 and season 3 of the fifth quarter start airing, I think, November 30th. So we're going to put out 3 a week for, I think, however long it goes until we run out of episodes. I think we shot 20. So that should be fun. And excited for your guys' episode to come out.
Yeah,
We're excited for it, too.
Yeah.
it'd be awesome.
It's, yeah.
You want to say what it's about?
Yeah, it's so...
No, I was saying we won't say, but
Oh,
or you
oh,
can
yeah.
if you want to.
No. Can we?
Yeah, of course.
So it's a it's about a drug tester who is wrongly accused of tampering with the urine sample of a particular player, and that's all I'll give. I don't want to spoil it. I'm sure we'll be linking it to all our social medias when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you got who plays the urine
Nelson
collector
Franklin
in it?
from Veep.
Nelson Franklin from Veep.
Yeah, who's very, very good.
Oh yeah, he was
very funny.
Yeah,
he was
awesome.
hilarious. He was so funny.
So we got that. So we do a lot of stuff in digital, like Go90. We did a show for LOL, which is Kevin Hart's network. We're also trying to pivot to traditional linear TV, and we'd love to get into features. So we got a bunch of stuff in development. Got a bunch of stuff coming out, but fifth quarter is the one that's coming up. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so this year we got Blake Griffin. He's back.
Kenny Mayne.
Kenny Mayne's back. We gave him his own episode, and he's a producer this year. So
That's awesome.
He's the best. I love Kenny Mayne. He's so funny. We got Joel Embiid from the Sixers doing an episode.
Dr. J was in one.
Dr. J's in an episode where he makes fun of Kobe's farewell tour. So Dr. J plays a basketball player who's at 70 years old after 50 years in the league, is finally announcing that this is going to be it. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, so we got
That's awesome.
yeah.
How many did you have for Blake Griffin? How many is he in?
He's just in the one. We gave
the
him like
speed walking one. Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? What's the sport called?
It's apparently competitive race walking is a sport.
Competitive race walking.
Where it's a bunch of people just walking as fast as they can,
And
but
it's
you
with
can't jog.
Right,
You can't.
I remember on Malcolm in the Middle, I think there was an episode about it where your feet can't.
Yeah.
There's one
can't
foot
get
always
it
has
up.
to be on
Right,
the ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about so Blake plays this guy who grew up in a retirement community with his grandma. So he's just never seen running. He just that's why he became a race walker.
He didn't know you could run or what?
He just grew up to be 7 foot tall or whatever he is, and he's just
Got
walks
those long,
really fast.
those long strides.
Yeah. And then his rival is played by Jimmy O Yang from Silicon Valley.
Oh, he's so funny on
he's-
that show.
he's- Our cast this year, the combination of athletes and comedians is just ridiculous. We got I know you guys like John Gemberling from
Yes,
From Broad City.
he plays Bevers on Broad City.
yeah, he's one of the funniest people I've ever seen.
And what's the one he's in? What did?
So his is we did an episode where it's a found footage documentary from the year 1896, which obviously is before film existed, but for the sake of the show, we found a perfectly edited sports documentary from the time.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So he plays one of the first two. The story's about the first ever basketball rivalry between two kids in James Naismith's class, and then they go on to play in the first professional game against each other. And there's actually a lot of stuff in the episode that's actually true. In the first game, all the players were paid $15, except one guy was paid $16.
That's true.
Yeah, that actually happened.
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of true stuff like that, but obviously when you see the episode, it's absurd. And John Gemberling is the first ever basketball player. It was just hilarious. It was one of the few times where our AD, who's very serious and runs a very tight ship, he had to leave set just laughing. He couldn't keep a straight face anymore.
That's awesome.
And then trying to think of some other athletes. You got Jason Pierre-Paul, Cameron Jordan.
Who's your favorite athlete? Just in general, you have one right
My
now.
favorite, to work with, or just in
No,
general?
just in general.
Who's your favorite athlete?
Someone from New York, I assume.
Yeah. I mean,
Eli.
no. I mean, it's from the math. Baseball's my first sport, so.
Ioannis.
What?
Ioannis.
No, probably DeGrom.
Okay.
And he is the only one who stayed healthy this year, so he's growing up, it was David Wright, obviously. He's probably my favorite all-time athlete. He just came up my freshman year of college, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how he's 34 now. He's really the first player that you know, I've now like almost seen his entire career play out, which is just very weird for me because now I feel like I'm getting old. But
Yeah, you've seen a whole,
Yeah.
basically a story arc of an athlete.
Yeah.
you followed a guy like I remember like following him when he got drafted in the first round and following him through the minors and then comes up and he's actually great and then
Yeah, right away.
yeah and him and Jose yeah
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
He's still on the team, still trying to come back, right?
David
Yeah.
yeah I mean I hope he makes it back. It's really
Yeah.
sad. At least he got to play in that World Series and he hit a big moment, hit home run.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice to see.
Yeah, hopefully he can come back. And,
I'm sure he'll make it back. I hope he's still like David Wright. But if anybody can do it, it's him.
yeah, he's our man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Really nice. Definitely still, even through being injured, still the emotional leader on the team. Still.
Yeah, you
would
played
call-
with him.
Yeah, we still call team meetings. Whenever it was like a players only meeting kind of time, we'd still call him, and he's got the most experience, and just kind of everyone looks to him, and he's definitely willing to lead and steer everyone in the right direction. So really nice too.
Yeah. I was happy when he signed long term and would.
Good pluck player also.
Good what?
Cards. So it's very similar to spades. It's like I think it's probably a big clubhouse game, and maybe not as much in other circles. I don't know. It's very similar to spades, and every baseball player knows how to. For the most part, I don't know if you do,
I don't play cards.
but you've heard of pluck before.
No.
You've never heard of it?
No.
That's very surprising. In every clubhouse that I've ever been in, there's pluck.
Everyone, at least I've seen play spades.
Really?
Yeah.
Spades just takes longer because you have to bid and all that. But anyways,
Yeah, and you need like the paper and stuff like
Right.
that. Do you need
you
that
have to
for
play to a
pluck?
score. No, you don't have to.
Oh, see, that's the big thing is always having like a legal pad around for
Mhm.
guys to write the scores down and everything like that. So it's like, how many do you call? How many do you call like that?
It's way too much. Like pluck is like a variation of spades where you don't have to call. The more you get, the better always. So then that carries over to the next round, and then you play to like 11 plucks. So it's pretty. I'm not going to go into all the rules and everything, but we played a few times over the last couple of years with David as my partner and against DeGrom a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And DeGrom and Mats would always keep playing David and I, and they wanted to play everybody with low. I don't know if gambling is legal in clubhouses, but very low stakes, and they would always come back to keep playing us, and David and I made a pretty good team.
Is he like insanely competitive about everything? I remember reading fantasy. He's like takes the fantasy football league very seriously.
Yeah.
The clubhouse.
Their fantasy league is intense. They play for more than I'm willing to risk. So I know they take it pretty seriously every year. But yeah, the funny thing about like cards is there's always a couple people that want to keep playing even when they're losing because it's always the same excuses. It's always like we just can't get any cards, just can't get any good cards. It's never the person's fault, So that was you'd hear Jake say that stuff all the time. And you kind of, if you want to keep playing against them, you have to be like, yeah, man, like that's tough. You guys didn't get any cards. We got lucky.
Yeah.
And then
you just keep you're hustling.
Man.
Dang.
Yeah, for not very much money.
So your favorite Mets player is not a good.
I don't want to say he's a bad player. I don't want to call him
No,
out.
because you want to keep playing
very
him or what?
No, he's good. He just got really bad cards.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
No, David's good. Jake's fine, but that's enough about cards.
But anyway, David Wright is my favorite all-time player.
But like
wish him well.
six-time All-Star too.
Yeah.
He's had an awesome career.
Yeah.
Like 6-time All-Star, Gold Gloves. He's done everything.
And got to play with you.
Got to play with me. Got to play
sure
pluck
that
with
was
me. I'm
a
sure
honor.
that was a big treat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the very first day that I got called up, I hopped onto the card table. They were looking for someone, and it's like it's a big thing, you know.
Let's get on the
In
card
the
table
center
for
of the
sure.
clubhouse, so
Yeah.
we're in Washington. The center of the clubhouse, there's a table, and they're like, "Anyone want to play?" And I didn't know them that well because I'd only played with them in spring training.
And also, it was because it was your first.
And it was my
season
debut, and I
with-
was like, I'll play.
Oh yeah, that's how it was.
That's what it felt like, you know.
But it
and
was more like,
and they all kind of looked at me like,
oh,
okay, like, come on over.
oh,
I played and we won right away.
and then you won the game.
Yeah, we won the game too. Yeah, I know. I had to think. Yeah, so they do a big thing like champion of the game after in the clubhouse, and I didn't know about it. So like last year they would give out a championship belt. This year it was a crown, which I'm sure you saw. And so like David is the one that holds it. Everyone gets together, and he's like, today's champion of the game. Like, good job to all these guys. Today's champion of the game is this person after wins. And he always gives a shout out to anyone that gets called up. So I didn't know that, and so I missed it. And I was out talking to my dad along the third baseline, and like I was like, oh, like I gotta go talk to my dad, you know, which I found out is much more of like a minor league thing than a big league thing because you're gonna get bombarded for autographs if you go out there.
Yeah.
But so I went and talked to my dad after the game, and then I came back in, and everyone was like, "Where were you?" I was like, "What do you mean?" I was talking to my dad. And he's like, I gave you a shout out, like, you know, like you missed on your first day.
But you were there for cards, though.
I was there for cards.
That's the important thing, I think.
I was like, but we won in cards today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always really liked that. I like the post game celebration stuff. Like a lot of teams have different like songs and stuff they play, but I always liked the Mets thing with like giving everyone a shout out. They did well, and everyone comes in and is like excited about winning. It's a pretty cool atmosphere, which you don't really find many places.
Yeah.
As a Met fan, I've never heard that. Like, I feel like we can't picture that. We're just such a depressed fan base. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to hear that you guys have fun.
Yeah. There's still fun being had in clubhouses.
Yeah.
Like, even when morale may be down.
Yeah.
Outside of it.
Yeah. Like, people are still having fun in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a lot about Mets fans.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain a little bit about, because like it feels like Mets fans are very hard on the players. But I was trying to explain it's more about like we're dealing with our own stuff. You know, it's like like when I was
It's
14
not you
and the
guys,
Mets
it's
lost.
us.
Yeah, it's not you, it's me. Like you guys don't realize that when I was 14, you guys were playing, so I didn't get like picked on by my Yankee fan friends at school the next day. Where not every city has to deal with that.
There's a lot on the line.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like I grew up in the when I was like 13 or 14 around the Yankee dynasty. So it was like, or from 96. So I was like from 10 to 14 it was not fun in school because most of my friends were Yankee fans, and
But then
a lot was riding on
the
those
subway
games.
The subway series must have been huge. For you.
I didn't enjoy any of it. I mean, because we won that, we lost the first two games, and then game 3 we won. So it was like for one day, it was like, okay, we're back in this series, and we were all pumped up for game 4, and then Derek Jeter hit the first pitch out of the stadium, and I think we got shut out or something, whatever it was. But that was the end of that series. I just remember my mom bought me like a real Mets batting helmet for my birthday, and I just treated this thing like it was like just priceless.
Did you wear it for all the games?
Yeah, I was wearing it for the games, and then with the Derek Jeter home run, I just took it off and like fired it against my wall. And that was that.
So Lenny asks, I was crushed to see my Dodgers blow it last night. What is your most crushing moment as a sports fan? Was that it right there?
No. So I think because I was older for the 2015 World Series, when I think it was game 4, the Mets were down 2-1 and they were winning the 4th game, and I think in the 8th inning that ball rolled through Daniel Murphy's legs and the Royals went ahead, and instead of tying the series, they went down 3-1, and then game 5 went with Harvey. but I was at my best friend's wedding, and we were all like crowded around our phones watching the game, and I had like a wine glass, and the ball rolled through Murphy's legs, and I just like slammed the wine glass down on the table, and like the stem just cracked, and like I was just standing there with a broke. I wasn't bleeding or anything, but that was probably the lowest I've been.
I've broken 2 glasses in as many days. It's really bad. The one was just like a phantom break. Like I look on the table and there's just this big gash in it, and today's was just me knocking it over. I was doing a bit with Ty where I was pretending like I didn't get what this shirt meant, and he played a song called Positive Vibes. I was like, what are you talking about? And then like I broke for a second and laughed and like went to grab the glass and just shattered it over on the kitchen counter over there.
It's always fun when a bit ends in like a
but then I'm just dying laughing because I go, oh, it's not the one that's already broken. So
actually, we were watching the game last night at some bar. It was just me, a writer friend of mine, and Eric, who I don't know if I know you met Eric. Mm-hmm. He was the head of operations for our company, and I've gotten him. He's not a sports fan at all. He like hates sports, but I've managed to like make him into somewhat of a baseball fan. So he's not like any team fan, but he was just rooting for a close game. And when the Dodgers scored that 1 run, like he just clapped. He went to like clap his hands. I guess he forgot that his like really tall glass of beer was like right in the middle, and he just clapped his hands and just shattered his glass. And he got like he had a piece of glass sticking out of his hands. He was fine. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
And he's like, this is your fault.
No, he was like fine with it.
Well, because if he wasn't excited about sports, he wouldn't.
That's
have
true.
done that. So it was your fault.
Well, he hasn't realized that yet, so hopefully he's not.
I think
watching
you gotta
this.
let him know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm still not over that World Series.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is. I had my most crushing, crushing sports fan moment. Like sports fan moment. I think it was 2001. I was a Yankees fan growing up.
Yeah.
I feel your pain.
You're the cause of my problem.
No. Because I felt your pain because I grew up in Maine.
Oh, okay.
And
so it's like Red Sox territory.
So I was basically a Mets fan.
Right.
Well, but actually
by default,
but not in a way because Boston was not successful at the time the Yankees were. So,
right.
But that was the Yankees lost 2001. And I woke up, and it was over on the West Coast because they were playing the Diamondbacks. And I remember waking up in the morning, and I ran downstairs and I asked my mom, like, did they win? She was like, no, Matthew, I'm sorry they didn't. I go, what happened? And then I turn on a Sports Center that morning, and I just watched the Mariano Rivera, Luis Gonzalez, bases loaded, gets jammed up the middle, and Derek Jeter goes to jump, and you think he's gonna get it, and he doesn't, and it just ends there.
Oh no.
Yeah,
buddy.
Well, I'm starting to tear up right now thinking about it.
That was actually a very I remember that because that was a very conflicting time for Mets fans in New York because it was sadly right after 9/11, and it was oh, you're a Mets fan and everybody's rooting for the Yankees, but what do you do as a Mets fan? Mm-hmm. And it was probably half and half rooted, Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
That was like Houston this year in a way.
Yeah,
had something. I mean, you obviously don't compare catastrophes,
right?
But when a city needs something, like New York rallied around the Yankees, and the same thing with Houston rallied around the Astros.
I remember that being the one time that I was okay with the Yankees winning. Right. It was remember that Mike Piazza game where he hit that home run, the first baseball game back in New York after 9/11.
Yeah.
Piazza hit the home run.
Yeah, they were wearing the NYPD and the NY hats.
And Chipper Jones, who Mets fans hate, he just killed us. And we would chant Larry. Remember that? Because that's his real name, Larry Jones. Mm-hmm. And he apparently we found out that he hated it, so we just started chanting Larry. So so Met fans and Chipper Jones just didn't have a good relationship. But Chipper Jones was that was the one time I didn't mind losing a baseball game was when Piazza hit that home run. Yeah. So that was probably one of the best moments in my baseball because I haven't seen the Mets win a World Series, but so I guess that's got to be it.
Yeah. What about yours? What was your as a sports fan?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of years ago, the Warriors losing, I think. Losing 3 in a row. to Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, I watched Game 7 in New York. It was when I was with the Mets, and yeah, it was just tough to like the way that the series went. They're up 3-1, and they just like dominated, and then like Draymond gets suspended, and it completely like changes everything.
I
in the
completely
series.
forgot that. Like ever since they won last year, it's just almost like don't even.
Yeah, well, they
remember
have
that.
they have the best regular season of all time, and then they just like roll through the playoffs, and then just
Up
like the
3-1.
way, up 3-1, and then like it. I mean, there a lot of things happen in a series, but like Draymond getting suspended obviously is huge because especially at that point, like I mean he was arguably like their most important player. You know, I mean for a big part of their run, he's like he does everything, and like Curry and Clay, and then obviously Durant now are the guys that everyone looks at, but like Draymond was the guy that held everyone together, and then it was kind of like it just like changed everything, and yeah, that was pretty tough.
Doesn't make it like a little easier that they won the year before.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like it was like years of losing and stuff like that. But I mean, it's still. I really didn't care about any particular teams growing up that much. Like I've always liked the Warriors, but they were never good. Baseball, I liked different teams. I liked the A's and the Giants because I was close to them, but I never paid attention enough to like be emotionally invested in them. I really liked the Braves because they were on TBS every day. So like you watch Fresh Prince, Saved by the Bell, and then the Braves come on, and so it was really easy to like them.
Lineup right there.
Yeah, I really liked Chipper Jones because I was a switch hitter and played infield. So yeah, it was really easy to like them. Also going to the playoffs 14 straight years, and then like football. I liked the Cowboys because I was born in Dallas, so I basically just picked a team, and so I liked them, but I didn't know anyone on the team besides Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith, and yeah, so I never really cared about like teams that much, so I've had it pretty easy because I can just like switch based on the players that I liked, at least as a kid. That's how it was.
Yeah, Derek Jeter was just my favorite player growing up. I had a huge cardboard cutout of him, and Bernie Williams. Those were my two favorite players for sure. And I became a Yankees fan because of my great grandfather who gave me a Don Larson autographed ball with his perfect game date on it.
Wow.
And that was that my mom's got that now. I can't carry that around with me everywhere I go because we're obviously traveling all over the place and whatnot. And we're only in one particular spot for 4 months, so she has all my memorabilia valuables that I used to, have in my bedroom.
I actually have. I've been to Yankee Stadium, the new or old one, just one time, and it was the old one. And it was the David Wells perfect game in 1997.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the only time I ever went to the Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
And I never went back, partly because I don't like the Yankees, but
And
partly was I like that the only time I've ever been there.
Yeah.
So I'll never go to the new stadium.
Yeah.
And if I do, they've got better throw a perfect game.
Yeah.
Well, it looks just like the old stadium.
Yeah. I figure I've kind of already been there. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you've been to the good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a new version of the old stadium now that doesn't have any of the history.
Right.
So.
And I called the David Wells perfect game in the first inning because I was 11. And I was like, Mom, he's got a perfect game going, 2 batters into the game. And she's like, shut up. You're going to say that all game?
The unwritten rules of baseball that, don't affect
Oh,
the game at all.
She didn't care about the unwritten rules. I was just annoying.
Yeah,
But I was right.
We're big on that. At least I, when people say stuff like that, I, jokingly will give someone crap about it, but really,
What about if you're in a dugout, though? You're not going to go sit next to the guy, are you?
No. Absolutely. Because that could actually affect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go sit next to the guy or even mention it near him, that can influence him so you can have an influence on it. That's when your words can. But if he's out on the mound and someone says something in the dugout, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But if he's in the dugout, you say something near him oh my gosh, like these guys can't get a hit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, what? Like, why would you? Like he knows that already. You don't have to tell him. Like every pitcher knows what they have going. They know every pitch what they're throwing. 95% of the pitchers that I play with know exactly how hard they threw, or will ask after. So you don't think they know whether there's a goose egg on the hits or not? Like, come on.
So they're all lying when they're like, "Oh, I looked up in the fifth inning and I realized."
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
At least
I know. I mean, I think especially pitchers.
Yeah.
Are the ones.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah.
Like they know how hard every pitch they throw is. They're turning around and looking at the radar going on.
And they know what they averaged. Like they know what their range was and what their average was.
Well, especially in like the minors when it matters a lot more, like how hard they're throwing and stuff like that, and they want to know. Like they go up to the guys with the radar gun after the game, like what you got? Yeah, that are charting the game. And like, what did you guys have on that? Like, I felt like I was throwing harder than that. You know, like, did you give me an extra mile an hour on a couple of those?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just bumping. Have you heard of people like shaving velos on other pitchers before?
Not really. I mean, like, I imagine that it happens, but I haven't like specifically heard about people that do it.
What would be the equivalent of doing that in the entertainment industry? Changing some dialogue in a script.
Somebody over.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens.
I mean, nothing I've ever written, somebody's changed it to sabotage the shoot or anything.
Yeah. It's just like a weird concept that when you try and put that into another profession.
Well, I'm sure like rumors get started and things like that. It's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like, oh, his velo's down.
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's not going to be a one-to-one.
I'm sure, like, the closest thing to that is, like, if, like, you write something and, like, you need somebody to help you get it somewhere, and they're, like, you have a relationship with them, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll help you, but they don't really like the project, and they'll be like, okay, I'll send it to this guy, and then they never send it, or they send it and be like, I'm just doing this guy a favor. I don't like this.
And they're not hyping it up.
Yeah,
Like
that's probably the closest equivalent to that. But just like, I mean, that was one of the craziest things that I didn't realize until because I wrote for like 7 years before I got anything produced. And like when you write the descriptions, like in the, in between the dialogue and stuff, when I think like I wrote like one bit in an episode of Fifth Quarter last year where it was like JB Smoove was the star and he's like in a mental institution, and the episode was about a guy who was like suing Warner Brothers, claiming that they stole like his life for the movie for Space Jam. So like he was sitting there with like a cup, and like he had broken the cup but like glued it back together, and now for the interview was just sitting there with like a cup with just dripping water. And we were going to shoot it, and I was like, oh my god, like there's no way did somebody actually make this cup? Like, I hope somebody made it. And they're like, yeah, we actually read what you write. And I'm like, really? Like that was like really shocking to me that.
Yeah.
So, like, somebody changing something would be, like, that would, like, create work for, like, 15 people.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they would usually probably try to ask me anyway. I was like, what did you mean by this? And half the time, I don't even know what I meant.
We got a question from Joe Kings. Professionally, what is your take on being traded unknowingly? Pros and cons. I've never been traded, but you have.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that getting traded for the most part is always a good thing. Like both times or however many, I guess I've been like technically traded 3 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's always a good thing because, well, first of all, you're going somewhere that they want you, so it's always gonna be good. And then like I always tell people that get traded or that get like moved somewhere else or whatever is that get signed with a new organization is that they signed you or traded for you for a specific reason. Like they see all of the potential, they see all of the good things that you can do, and wherever you were at before sees all of the negative things before you get traded. So like this guy, we can't use this guy because of this, and this.
Right.
And the other team says we should get him because he can do these things. And so you always want to go somewhere where they're looking for positives and not looking for negatives for reasons to not move you up or play you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I always think it's a good thing to just go somewhere that they're hoping that you do well and want to give you opportunities.
So
to
you'd
do
say
well
that's the
also.
pros of being traded, and then
Yeah.
the cons would be like you talked about before, like not knowing anybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just the toughest thing I think about, like when I got traded to Philly this year, was just that the coaches had never seen me play. So it's not knowing the guys. It's just
And normally you have a spring training to
Right.
show off your stuff, but you didn't even have that.
or years in the organization to show
Right,
who
yeah.
you are and things like that. So it's gotten a lot easier as I've switched teams and things like that to try to just kind of show your personality right away. And you just have to hope for opportunities though on the field, because it was tough. The coaching staff not ever having seen me play.
Right.
So it's tough to just hop in and show the things that you can do, because they're operating only on what they've heard about you. Scouts have seen you, and maybe someone in the front office has seen you, but for the most part, the coaches are not going to have seen you. So to earn their trust is really tough. That's definitely a negative. But like I said, they hear that you can do certain things.
Mhm.
So you get to a place and they're like, oh, we hear that you are versatile or whatever, or that you, whatever it is, that you hit home runs, depending on who you are. So, I think that there are a lot of pros to it, and the cons, as long as you get opportunities, you can overcome them.
Definitely.
Well, I assume the GM who trades for you, like, kind of obviously vouches for you and the fact that he traded for you.
Right, like
Yeah,
he's
for
had to have
sure.
seen you play. Like obviously, like playing with the Mets, like a lot of the Phillies front office and some of the coaching staff saw you play.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's definitely more scouts and things like that.
That too.
Than anything.
Right.
They'll have had multiple scouts. Because I mean, wherever you go, there are going to be scouts there.
Yeah.
Which is the crazy thing, at least as far as I know about baseball, like, is that there are scouts everywhere you go, and you always hear, like, you're not necessarily playing for the organization that you're in, you're playing for the rest of
the 29 other teams.
Exactly, 29 other teams. So, I mean, you're still trying to win and help your organization, but at the same time, if there are going to be scouts there watching, you have to always be on your game. They're going to see, they might follow you around for a week or something like that if the team is looking at you. So I know that when I got traded to the Mariners, they told me that one of the scouts had been there for like the week before I got traded, because they were looking at like making some kind of trade or they were looking for someone in my like prospect range, like B prospect, A prospect, whatever it is, to be able to trade for.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a scout watching my games for like the week before I got traded. And you don't really notice it. You don't always.
You don't know
see
that
the guys.
someone's looking
Yeah.
to trade for you specifically. There's no trade rumors in the minor league.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it can
So
come-
it's definitely you never know what's going to happen, and it's a nice reminder that you are really always like playing for other teams, and for the possibility that someone's going to see you in some good stretches, and they're going to say like, there's potential there because I've seen him at his best. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's a really good point.
But for a lot of guys, they don't see that because they're in the same organization for 5 years, nothing happens. They're in AA or somewhere like that, and they feel like they're stuck. And they're like, well, in my organization, no one ever moves. It's everybody always feels like that if they don't get moved up. Like,
Right.
well, only
But
the
there's
prospects are getting moved
There's
up.
other people getting moved to other teams.
Yeah, and so I know, like with the Orioles especially, it seemed like they just stockpile guys in AA and AAA, and it's always like a surprise to hear someone get traded out of that system, or at least it was when I was there.
Right.
I don't know how it is now, but yeah. So you always get like that feeling that it's not possible to do anything unless you hit like 400. But there's other teams out there that
Right.
can see you at your best moments.
Right. Definitely.
I'm trying to think of that entertainment.
Yeah. What would be?
Cool,
Yeah.
I'm
What
getting
would be?
traded.
if
I think
getting
it's just
traded?
getting fired. It's just
Well,
more like.
Well, a release and sign
Yeah.
would be a more equivalent. You
Yeah,
get released,
you
and
get
then
released.
someone signs you right away.
Yeah.
You get DFA'd
Well,
or
hopefully.
something like that. Someone
Mhm.
signs you right after that.
Yeah.
So that would be like someone dropping you, and then right away people were just ready to to pick you up like a competitor.
Yeah.
Like, so you got some ideas.
Yeah. Although, I mean, if you get fired, like, from a company, I assume it's like, you don't have... If you get fired, it's not good. So,
Yeah.
I don't think there's companies lined up to, like, you know...
There
scoop up
definitely
a
wasn't
fired,
like Entourage, wasn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Entourage is
Like, what
real.
was he?
Yeah, that's...
There, I think that there was some stuff with Ari, wasn't there? That just like when he was getting towards like the top of his, like the head of a studio or whatever. Weren't
His
there, like,
agency.
Oh, yeah. When you reach that level, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that guy's getting fired
Yeah.
for, you know, whatever the reason is
Mhm.
they creative differences or something like that. Yeah, when you reach that level, that's fine. But other than that, it's not. I don't think there's much of an equivalent.
Yeah, like if Mark Zuckerberg had to step down as CEO, I'm sure there'd be some other
You'd get a
like
job.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
sure a VC would be like, hey, so you have some other ideas, like
Yeah.
that, right? Like
Yeah.
let's make something else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
No more in the comments. But this is a question I like to ask on every single live stream. Is that I ask the person like what their favorite baseball memory is, and I ask this because I feel like baseball is such a universal thing in America that everyone at least has some sort of baseball story, even if you didn't play baseball. Like even if you didn't even play Little League, people have a baseball story. Like, oh, my older brother played baseball or something. There's always something. But you played baseball growing up. You still love having a catch, as they say in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite baseball memory?
From me playing baseball,
just
or
anything. Your favorite
anything?
baseball memory, like from you playing, you watching, anything.
I mean, I didn't have too many highlights for my playing career. So it's probably like the Mets winning either
the '86 one where you were.
when I was 6 days old.
Yeah.
It was just
Big,
downhill
That was
from
huge
there.
for you.
Yeah, you were crying tears of joy that day.
Probably the first time the Mets went to the World Series in 2000. I probably appreciated it more when they went back in 2015, just because I just thought I was like, oh, okay, this team has got a good future, and then they didn't make it back for 15 years. So 2015 was great, but my mom took me one of the NLCS games that year. Just that whole series was like, I've never seen my team be good before, because the Mets were just bad from
perennial losers for a while.
I remember seeing that. Remember that movie, Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
The-
So I think that came out in '93, and I was 7, and I had never seen the Mets be good before, so I didn't understand that they were I was like, why are the Mets good? The Mets are good in this movie, and
It
they're
just
the.
didn't make sense.
And then they lost in the end, and I was the only kid in the theater crying that the Mets lost again. So 2000 when they won the NLCS is probably just my favorite baseball memory. And then there's little isolated things, my mom took me to a game and the Mets were down 6-0 with 2 outs and nobody on in the bottom of the 9th, and they came back and tied the game. And it's one of 3 times ever that happened.
The 6-0
6-0
in the ninth,
ninth.
comeback.
They scored a couple runs and loaded the bases, and then Carl Everett hit a grand slam.
Carl
And me and my mom went
Oh my
nuts.
gosh.
Yeah. And then in the bottom of the 10th, Bernard Gilkey hit a 3-run home run to win the game.
Some good names.
Yeah. Those are baseball
I have such
names.
random memories from the early '90s Mets.
Carl Everett just loves spoiling things.
Yeah.
Mike Mussina's perfect game bid
Oh yeah, with 2
when
outs.
he was with the Red Sox. Just 2 outs, 8 2/3, perfect game.
Yeah.
Just
That actually made me really happy because I was with a couple of my Yankee fan friends.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Kafir is in the,
Oh,
the
okay.
live
I
stream.
texted Kafir to come.
Hi, Kafir.
He texted me to stop looking at my phone.
He can look at his phone if he wants, Kafir.
Well, I was texting him.
Yeah. Kafir's right down the street.
Kafir is the one
Literally
who
walk away.
introduced us all.
Yes. He also works at OBB.
Yes.
Um,
And he's an Astros fan.
and he's the Astros fan we were talking about earlier. We were
Yeah.
talking about you.
Yeah.
But how he needs to be a professional.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys told me that you'll get me a tryout and I'll quit my
A
job.
professional baseball player, yeah. So we'll get you a tryout. You'll be a professional baseball player.
You guys are telling me that I don't have to quit my job, but I'm insisting.
Well,
you have to.
like I said, Tebow
It's
didn't
gonna-
have to quit his broadcasting job. Why should you have to quit your job?
Because like you need you gotta have the stakes. Like there's
You
a lot
got-
riding on this tryout. It's like Batman. You had to make the climb without the rope.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What do you got on that movie? Do you like
I
it?
didn't like it.
What didn't you like about Batman Rises?
I
Knight
mean,
Rises.
Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was just like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
So yeah, I
You
loved
think?
it. No.
We had a joke. We had a joke yesterday where Ty was saying that I could ruin anything.
Yeah.
Matt, so yeah, well, we were watching the video.
Adam ruins everything.
Yeah, and I said that Matt could do it also.
And then he starts naming things, and he said, Dark Knight was a pretty good movie. I go, well, the third act kind of has some issues. I mean, with the dogs and the Joker, like that's like the final confrontation that Batman has to overcome. Like you could have picked something better than dogs,
I just want to know how like logistically he set all that stuff up. Like that must have taken like he must have had like a really good like line producer for the film. For the film analogy,
Yeah.
It's like it's just a lot of work. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of coordination to set up all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot that had to fall into place for his plan to work.
Yeah.
But
That's how it always goes.
But The Dark Knight Rises, obviously, like that didn't have Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah.
So that's
he was originally supposed to. The
Yeah.
third one was supposed to be about like the Joker's trial or something.
really.
That's what I read somewhere.
Oh,
But,
that would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been good.
Yeah, it would have been good.
Oh man.
Yeah, but is that why you didn't like it? Because it didn't have...
No.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It was just very long and there's to me there's like a lot of exposition. It's just like dialogue that is explaining what the movie is about. It's
Right.
like the villain like I think that whatever the scene was where he's trying to explain what the computer program is, and like I think Anne Hathaway's got like her foot up to that guy's throat. And she's like, "Where is the program?" And he's like, "What? The program that will do this and like save and erase everything from your past and allow a criminal to start anew?" I was like, "All right."
I don't see anything wrong with
That stuff. I mean, it's pretty tight dialogue.
And Bane as a villain, like they had to explain an origin story of his, like to start. Which, if it was,
the Joker.
if it was the Joker, like the Joker is a villain that does not need explanation, like that.
Right.
Like he
It was
doesn't
just
need
very-
a backstory. Like that is his thing. And I haven't seen the Suicide Squad,
like,
so I
no, I
don't.
didn't like that either. But like Dark Knight was just very like grounded in reality. It was like, oh, it's a vigilante guy against the serial killer,
Right.
and like you could get absurd at times, but it was still like a simple story. Whereas Dark Knight Rises, there were like so many different elements, and it took place over like I couldn't. Apparently, there was like an 8-month jump that I missed in like the theaters, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, it was just hard to follow.
Like how long they were actually in Gotham when the
apparently
when the
months have
bridges went
passed
out or
and,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also the expectations coming off of like Dark Knight, which is just a masterpiece for a superhero movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Christopher Nolan in general?
I watch all of his movies. Like I will always watch the next Christopher Nolan movie, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of his movies are just characters explaining what the movie is about. But I mean, I think he's
What did you think? If you thought that...
like Inception.
Yeah, I was saying, if you thought that The Dark Knight Rises had a lot going on,
Yeah.
what did you think of Inception?
I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
Did you see Dunkirk?
I did not see it yet.
Okay, because
I heard it's great.
it was great, but Dunkirk
It's
does
the
the opposite of
opposite.
that, and
Yeah,
he doesn't
it's like-
explain anything.
Yeah.
And like Dunkirk is a very specific moment,
Yeah.
and there's like you need to know going into the theater. And I'm glad I read an article beforehand that was like, make sure you read up on Dunkirk before you go watch Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Like what happened there, and then you're like, okay, this
Makes
makes
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very different from other war movies. Like there wasn't any focus really, and that's kind of what made it feel like war. I thought it was
Right.
really cool. But yeah, I'd recommend.
Yeah.
watching
Well,
it.
send me whatever you read before watching Dunkirk.
It just
so I
said
could
to
read
it
it
just
all.
said to like open Wikipedia. It was like
Yeah.
just
Okay.
real quick, just open it,
Yeah.
scroll through there, and then walk into the theater, or
Yeah.
while you're watching the credits, like or the trailers, just
Yeah.
like scroll through it a little
What
bit.
do you have a favorite writer?
I mean, like Judd Apatow movies made me want to write movies. You know, like I think it was like 18 when Superbad came out, or 20 or whatever it was, and like 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. Like that's what it was like.
Heavyweights.
I love heavyweights.
Yeah.
I'm also a big Cam person, so I just love anything with Cam. But like Ben Stiller in that movie,
We
great.
watched it the other day, actually.
it's very underrated.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah.
maybe it is properly rated. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's one of
for
my favorite
I think so.
movies.
For
Yeah.
like a Disney movie,
For
like,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'd
But
say.
like when I was around that age of trying to figure out what I'm actually going to try to do in my life, like all those Judd Apatow movies were coming out, and it was like, all right, this is what I want to do.
And then you're like, he's a Mets fan too.
Right.
I know.
from
I didn't find that
Queens,
out.
yeah.
He's from the town next to me. He was born in. I think he was born in Queens, maybe, but
Okay.
lived in Syosset, which is like a town over for me on Long Island.
Do your best Ben Stiller Tower Heist impression.
Tower Heist.
Yeah, I've never seen Tower
I've
Heist.
never seen Tower Heist.
Wait, where is it? Oh,
Tim.
Tim. Tim is an old roommate of mine, and we used to, like, so he's a big movie guy. We used to actually play 6 Degrees of Separation a lot, where you each pick an actor and then try to connect them, like, the fastest.
Yeah.
And he was, like, amazing at it. And then after, like, a few months of playing it, I started to beat him every once in a while. But that was, like, he's just, like, a very big movie guy. And we both hated Tower Heist. And we're watching it, and just the way that we were watching shows with my dad, and like just picking them apart as we were watching it.
Oh,
we were doing
yeah,
that with
just
Tower Heist.
ripping
It's
on
just
it.
like what like Ben Stiller's trying to do an accent, Casey Affleck's in it, and he's just like so boring, and like they didn't use him well at all. It just tons of things, and we just hated it. And then we went to look at like how it was rated, and if people liked it, and like people loved it. They're like so
Really?
clever. Like,
Yeah.
such a good movie, so well written. Like, from the guys that wrote the Ocean's movies, like, this is another good one, underrated. And it's just like, we're looking at just like, how is that possible? So, we always bring it up. Like, also, neither of us like Tay Leone, and she's one of the leads in it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so we're
Speak-
constantly the biggest movie guy.
Speaking of bad, good movies, like movies that are so bad that they're great, like you guys know what The Room is,
Yeah,
right?
The Room.
Yeah, we're watching.
So so you've seen it?
Have you seen it?
No, I've just seen like the compilation, 11 minutes of like the
No,
best
you gotta
stuff.
watch the full movie because the Seth Rogen, James Franco movie is coming out
Right.
in a month, I think.
That's right, yeah.
I've like never anticipated a movie more so than just them recreating The Room.
But it's about the guy's life.
Yeah, it's
who
about
created
his
The Room.
like friendship with the two guys who made it. But just to see like James Franco doing some of the most famous scenes from the movie, it's gonna be
That's
gonna be
really
great.
funny.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I did not hit her. I did not. I did not.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Talking about well written.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. And they always like say the person's name.
Yeah.
in-
And then they just randomly start playing football in the middle of
Yeah.
scenes for no reason.
Everyone has the football.
Yeah, they're in tuxedos. They like stepped out of a wedding to play football.
I need to watch that whole movie.
It's so good.
Hot Ticket to Hawaii. It's just outrageous. It was
Yeah.
like at a time where they were like, okay, what do people like? Boobs, explosions, and a tropical setting and guns. And it was like they threw them all together into one. They got like
What more can you want?
like all the Playboy bunnies at the time to be in it, and it's like it's just outrageous. It's an outrageous movie. I think there's like some football subplot line too. It's ridiculous. It's nuts. You gotta
Sounds
watch.
great.
Yeah, but I don't think I've seen any other so bad it's good movies though. The Room is definitely like up there, and then the James Franco movie like that. I've seen the previews for it. That looks amazing.
Yeah. I think it's gonna get some like Oscar buzz.
Really?
That's what I heard from somewhere.
I mean,
it's
you're in
supposedly
the
really
biz,
good.
so
Yeah.
like
I
you
don't
know, man.
Hey, where'd you hear that? Who'd you hear that from?
Yeah.
I heard somebody tell me, like, because they filmed it a while ago, and then they kept, I don't know if they kept delaying it, but it was like, I hadn't seen a trailer in forever because I was waiting for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they purposely moved it to
Delayed
Oscar
it.
season.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
because it usually means, like, when that happens, when you film something a year and a half ago and it's still you haven't seen a trailer, it usually means, like, the movie's a disaster, and
Right.
it's definitely not a disaster, so it's probably trying to get some Oscar buzz. So,
Wow.
but
It's cool. High expectations.
those are,
That's- now
those are my other favorite writers.
Going into the theater, that's now like my expectation.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm gonna
sorry
be-
if I if I ruined it,
Yeah.
but I think it's gonna exceed expectations.
Even my expectations
Yeah.
now.
It's
Whoa.
gonna win something higher than an Oscar.
Oh my gosh! It's gonna be
amazing.
put in the AFI film.
Yeah, it's
vault.
gonna be number one right
Yeah.
away.
It'll be the best movie ever. No, but like, yeah, those are my other, like, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, or like, I love everything they do. For me, it's like, actually, one of my first connections in film when I had written my, like, first draft of my first script, so I was like, oh, I'm done, like, who's gonna make this? And then I send it out, and the one, like, random connection I had to film actually got my script to Judd Apatow, and Judd Apatow, I should have realized, like, oh, just wait 10 years until, like, you've actually put effort into becoming a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like, what, 21-year-old is gonna, listen
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah. Get it to him.
Yeah.
Just get it
So
to
Just
he-
go ahead. He'll like it.
Yeah.
So Judd's not gonna read it, but he, like, got his reader to read it, or his assistant, or whatever
Right.
the position was, and this woman, Lisa, read it, and then, like, she emailed me notes, and, like,
Oh,
some of the
wow.
notes were like, oh, it was a camp script, so it was like, oh, my boyfriend, like, has, he's funnier than, like, some of the, he's got funnier stories, and, like, she was very nice about it, but in my head I was like, oh, I can't do this, like, I can't write as good as, like, this random reader's boyfriend is funnier than me.
Yeah.
And then years later, I found out that her boyfriend was Evan Goldberg, and they got married.
Uh-oh.
And it was like my favorite writer who wanted me to made me want to write.
Oh my
It
god.
was the guy that
that's
she
crazy.
said that I was funnier than me. And now looking back, like,
You're like-
clearly, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, but, like, he
so
didn't
that's
start-
not to be nothing to be ashamed about.
Yeah,
Evan
but like they
Goldberg
didn't
being-
start like great writers, and that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
you have.
Well, those guys started writing Superbad at, like, 13 years old.
Mhm.
Like, they were best friends growing up.
He was doing stand up at like 13.
Yeah,
Really?
Seth Rogen was.
Mhm.
And they met at bar mitzvah class or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
That's
they
really-
still do everything together.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're great.
Oh, we've got the Warriors game on right now. What's the score of that?
That's over.
Oh, it's over. Who won it?
They won by 20.
Is that good?
20?
Yeah.
Or by like 5 or something.
Is that good? I don't
Good.
even know. But I guess we can finish up here. Matt, thanks for coming on. You guys can check out the 5th quarter over on Go 90. I'll link it in the description. When does it come out?
November 30th.
They start. You guys will
Yeah, so
start
we're gonna air
releasing
3 a week.
three
Yeah.
week, November 30th. And yeah, make sure you come back every single week. Homeless Minor Leaguer Live. We're also posting videos every single week over on the YouTube channel Homeless Minor Leaguer. Those are going to be the comedy sketch videos. Are going to be over on that channel. Here, you can come check us out for the live streams. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.